Hello, everybody. So, welcome to week 4 of the Rebecoming the One Symposium. And I am so excited, so honored, so happy to have Kelley Hunter here with me today and here to give this talk on cosmic couples for the symposium. And I honestly reached out to Kelley on a whim, thinking, wow, I love your presence. I love your knowledge. I love my sense of your genuine connection to the spirit world. And I just felt like I resonate with you on many, many levels. And so I felt like I would love to have you be a part of this. And you said yes. And here we are. And so I'm really excited about this topic of cosmic couples for many reasons, including the fact that one of your areas of interest, one of your areas of expertise is with the Kuiper belt objects. And I recently have gotten a little bit obsessed with them myself. So I've been watching all of your videos, every interview I can find that you've done. You know, I got your Planetary Gods and Goddesses coloring book, and there's just not that much out there about the Kuiper belt objects or about the Oort cloud. I mean, Sedna and any of that really at this point. And you are probably the only person I've found so far who has something very concrete and specific about them out there. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing. Well, I can think of one other person, but you are the go-to person on all of those things for me. And so it's just so much fun to have you here and so exciting and an honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Julie.
Yay. So before we start, I'm going to read your bio so people who are not familiar with you can know a little bit about who you are. So Kelley Hunter, Ph.D., is an internationally known depth astrologer based in Vermont. Her work is informed by mythology, psychospirituality, creative arts, holistic and consciousness studies, as well as 1001 nights of stargazing in the Caribbean, which I think is where you are at this moment, right?
I am, in fact.
Yeah, and when we started recording, I thought your background was a fake recording, but it's not. That's actually where you are, which is wonderful. So beautiful. Her pioneering research led to 2 books on Lilith and the cosmic feminine, and her playful Planetary Gods and Goddesses coloring book, introducing the emerging quantum realm of our expanding solar system planetoids. Yay. I resonate with all of the above. Yes. So when I asked you to be part of the symposium, this was the topic that arose for you as what you were wanting to give a free talk on, the cosmic couples. And you were telling me before we started recording that it's sort of a new topic for you. So I would just love to hear, as you begin, why this topic? How did this come to you? What does it mean to you?
Yes, well, this is a totally new talk, totally new material. I thought of it in relation to the symposium because of the work with the divine masculine and the divine feminine that's happening with a lot of the presentations here. And I wasn't sure, what to offer. And then this idea came up partly because of my work with the Kuiper belt objects. There have been some people, working with it in smaller and larger ways. But I use that coloring book as a way to do research. And so some of the couples are in there, some of them, it's added another realm, in fact, to our solar system. Pluto is actually one of the Kuiper belt objects. It's small and icy like the rest of them, and he's still the king of the Kuiper belt. But there are many more being discovered, and they mostly are named for indigenous creator gods from around the world, which is what really excited me immensely, and getting beyond the Greco-Roman mythology and making it more global, reawakening myths or archetypes from different cultures, and with an invitation to learn more about those cultures too. And I think that's important in the interpretation, the developing interpretation of these Kuiper belt objects along the way, taking into account the culture out of which it comes. And so I'm trying to be very careful about interpretation. And there's some storylines that come up. And so I thought I would, like, who are the couples? And so I'm going to start with the Venus and Mars, the classic, astrological couple, and then go on to two centaur objects, which are consciousness shifting. Chiron is more well known than his consort Chariklo, but people who know about her just love Chariklo or Chariklo. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, honestly. And then even yet. So I tend to say Chariklo. And then we have Neptune has a partner in the Kuiper belt, Salacia, however you want to pronounce her name too. This is where I take a little license. So Neptune married Salacia, and then we have the one you mentioned, the pairing of Varda and Manwe, two of the very intriguing Kuiper belt objects, because they are not indigenous creator gods. They're Tolkien's twin flames. I wrote an article called that you'll find on my website, and they come from the Tolkien's pre-history of Middle Earth, like way back in his creation story. So we'll look at that. So they're different levels, dimensions of these cosmic couples, and that is part of what interested me in developing this material. And like I'm saying, it's new thinking, and I thought, well, this would be a good venue to give it a try. And so hope you'll kind of explore the new territory with me.
I love it. And that's part of what I love. I think that's part of why I'm so obsessed with the Kuiper belt objects in general, and the Oort cloud, with Sedna and all of that, is that I feel it. I feel them calling, like, I feel them being part of ourselves, expanding, remembering more and more and more of who we are. And I can just even feel my own consciousness coming alive as I go into them. Yeah.
Many of them are light bringers, officially light bringers, and Varda is one of them. And that it is opening a new level of consciousness, as you say, that we're stretching into, where and I call it quantum, because I've been hearing quantum all over the place, and I have studied a little bit of quantum physics, and just the creative capacity in this realm to be co-creators with these creator gods. We are. It's an invitation to really become aware of our capacity to do that. Somehow we've lost it. Somehow we've forgotten it, and it is being reawakened. So the quantum consciousness can create and manifest in a whole different way. And it's nice to know you've got one of these on your side, if you have any particularly strong in your chart, or kind of, so I've been very interested to watch them as they are moving through the signs and changing sign and such.
Yeah. And I just, this is almost a side note, but I feel compelled to say it. When we talk about Pluto being quote unquote demoted from its status as a planet, I was talking to Heather Ensworth the other day, and I said, you know what, actually, what if that's actually a good thing? What if Pluto had its own Plutonian experience of, re-emerging, going into its own chrysalis and re-emerging as a butterfly, as a Kuiper belt object? What if that's actually it's I mean, really, like, why we have a conception that it should be in the status of being a planet, and maybe it should be. I'm not giving a judgment on that, but maybe it serves a different purpose when it then opened the door to this. Yeah.
Yeah, what I think about it. It's the first one discovered, and it is like the others. And I think that to get to the indigenous, creator gods, you've got to go through the Pluto realm, because there are a couple of other of the underworld gods too, in that first closer edge of the Kuiper belt. So we have to go through that process a little bit. And I've said since 2006, when they made Pluto a dwarf planet, Pluto doesn't care what we call it. Pluto will do what Pluto does, and we don't want to dismiss, the god of death and rebirth. So yeah,
beautiful.
But starting close to Earth, we've got Mars on one side and Venus on the other, and they are the classic, couple in Greek mythology, which has a lot of, kind of soap opera stuff going on with those storylines. I've just been reading the novel Circe, and oh my God, those gods are just, have all these issues and things going on, and they're not very nice. So, but Mars and Venus, classic couple, and they have a pretty rocky relationship too. So, but when we are considering where is Mars and where is Venus in our astrology, that's a great place to start, because they are the divine masculine and feminine on some level. I don't think, however these are, to me, they're lesser gods than some of these other ones, because of their, but they help us grow. They help us develop our own emotional growth. And that would be, Venus, the goddess of love, and Mars, strength, courage, resilience. It's like the immune system. It fights back when there's danger. It protects the home and hearth, and then we've got, Venus, which is beauty, our values, our emotional intelligence. Venus is, which defines our emotional style, our relational style. We've got 12, different signs, and Venus is going to show up differently and make a different definition of what we're looking for in terms of our happiness, in terms of, for women, their femininity, and for men, where how they are working with that, and vice versa with the Mars. We all have Venus and Mars. So, it's been classic that usually women identify with the Venus and men with the Mars, but that is changing, because our level of consciousness too is changing in relationship to the masculine and feminine. So the Mars-Venus dynamic, sets up a starting point for us in developing, say, with Venus, our emotional intelligence, especially in the cycles where she goes retrograde, 5 times every 8 years, and says, you come talk to me, you come into your heart, because it's self-love as well. As she's has to do with self-worth, our sense that we are valuable as individuals, and can bring that richness to us. And especially when she does these retrogrades, she says, tend to the most important relationship in your life, which is that with yourself. So she has that deepening, repeating cycles of coming to know ourselves better, to claim our worth and our happiness, and to invite the best into our lives. Venus wrote the law of attraction. She has to do with the emotional energy that we are living with, in terms of, are we looking for the beauty in life, the good things in life? Are we happy? Are we feeling good with ourselves? In Native tradition, I'm especially right now thinking of the Navajo tradition, they say the purpose of life is to walk the beauty path. And to me, that is Venus. And so Venus, they say, and they say not about Venus, but about walking the beauty path, you need joy and happiness and confidence and peace. So I've come to take that as, you know, part of the emotional maturing that Venus brings us, that we can take into our relationships. And again, that relationship with ourselves first, on a personal level, which, you know, Venus is quite a personal planet. And then the Mars is farther into the solar system, heading out on that heroic quest, which is, you know, again, one of my favorite Mars words is strength. It has that courage. You know, the god of war can be a warrior for light, you know, so we want to watch how we're interpreting, you know, some of these planets we're so used to looking at and talking about. And I love it when people do special presentations on those Venus cycles and the Mars. And when we look at that Mars retrograde we had for so many months, it seemed like forever, last summer into this spring in 2023, that also was a monitoring of our own energy and what we want and how we put ourselves out there. So sometimes in your chart you have Mars retrograde or you have Venus retrograde. So what impact does that have on the masculine and feminine dance? You know, for some people that's going to be a spicy tango. For some people that's going to be, you know, a cuddle and you know, into like a softness, a gentleness. You know, people have different things that they're looking for in relationships, whether they know it or not. We all, you know, have different values at times, different maybe expectations, which we have to watch. And that's why I do a talk that also includes a moon, you know, with the family patterns that set us up, that also can impact how we experience our emotionality and that Mars Venus dance of the invitation and the, you know, put it out there kind of energy with the Mars Venus. But, you know, they're in the myths, and they can go very deep and they can go very rich with the hero's journey, with the heroine's journey, and many other archetypes that can enliven our basic sense. But I think that, you know, there are a lot of those soap opera stories, and that's why, you know, those television shows are very popular, you know, and I think of, you know, that gender modeling influences the Mars Venus dynamic maybe more than some of the others that go on to another level. Any comments or questions on that, Martha?
Nope, I'm just enjoying hearing you. And I'm excited to hear the next level.
Yeah, well, we'll take it. So you know, the centaurs, you know, when Chiron was discovered in 1977.
The year I was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, what is it? Is it a comet? It has a tail. Is it an asteroid, but it's not in the asteroid belt? Like, what is it? So, you know, if it's half asteroid, half comet, centaur is a good thing mythologically to associate it with. So, you know, Chiron is the master teacher healer. It's the shaman of the solar system. And there's a lot of mythology about Chiron, and we can also track that in our own lives. I think of Chiron as our vision quest in life. As we are on our path of healing and wholeness, we find how, you know, we can also offer other people. So this teaching, healing energy of Chiron, known as the wounded healer, because he was wounded by a poisoned arrow. He was immortal because his father was Saturn. So he was part God, part human, part animal. And to some extent, that describes our human state of being as well. but the consciousness is also carried by Chiron, wants to align the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So sometimes relationships are going to bring up something in that flow that is not in sync or has resistance or something. So, relationships are a wonderful mirror that really put us through a lot of growth and healing more, than we can do on our own. So there's Chiron. And Chariklo was not discovered until 1997. So 20 years but until that discovery. And Chariklo is larger than Chiron, is a little further out. She does not come in front of us as of Saturn as Chiron does, indicating his capacity for manifestation. I know some people don't know much astrology, and the centaurs are unusual in the fact that they aren't in a ring around the sun. They cross orbits of other planets, so they're crossing states of consciousness to a certain extent. And Saturn comes in front of Saturn. Chiron comes in front of Saturn in a way that penetrates into manifestation, because Saturn's like reality check. And Chiron comes right through there with this different quality of energy and magic. So what kind of a partner could he have, right? So I have a story about Chiron and Chariklo on my website that I don't have time to read now, and there's not much mythic information about her, and there are a couple of Chariklos. So the one I happened to find, she was a river mermaid. So she was not in the sea. She was a freshwater mermaid, and she was in the, the mountains and valleys where Chiron lived. And so she was, like part of the water, and she flowed with the water. And sometimes she could almost merge into the water. That's my view. I love mermaids. So that's how I think of that, that there's that fluidity and that flow. And so when she saw Chiron up there, noble being, and saw him teaching young people, she just thought he was really interesting. And he could feel her energy, and he looked right down in the water and saw her immediately, and could always see her, no matter how much she was merging with the water, or how she was, kind of swimming in her fluidity. That is part of what I think Chariklo has, this fluidity of shape and form that, like, is water. Water looks for its own level. So in a sense, Chariklo has this capacity to kind of take whatever shape best serves love. And that was my conclusion with this myth, because she loved Chiron, and there she was in the water, half mermaid. I mean, that's half human, half fish. And there he was, half horse and half human. So she managed to shapeshift into a centauress, half horse, half woman, in order to be with him. So I kind of have been working with that theme, whatever form best serves love. And also, because he was the wounded warrior, she was able to, with her love and her own healing qualities, she was able to help him continue his work, and, offer whatever, music of the waters she could teach, and soothe him with, perhaps. So she could kind of hold this space for him to be himself and do what he can do. And so there's that beautiful holding of energy that I know Melanie Reinhardt has done a lot of work also with Chariklo and that kind of theme there. So here he is, they both have this unusual crossing of consciousness. Chariklo was found to have 2 rings around this very small astronomical object, which really surprised scientists. And that's when I got especially interested in her. That was like 2014, around 2014. And like she has a double halo. So that's her special energy, very special quality. And she does not come in front of Saturn. She's not about manifestation. She goes out deeper into the solar system and picks up more nuanced energy, which may be why she can shapeshift. So my thought about them as a pair is that they hold space, or she does especially, for healing and for the highest outcome. If Chiron wants to align spirit, mental, emotional, and physical, she is there to enhance that, to hold that, to add her special quality to that. And they can really be together, sharing that healing quality with each other and able to give it, that she supports him in doing that, and he is served and strengthened with that. So
something that's fascinating to me, I'm just thinking about my own chart, which happens to have Chariklo conjunct my Venus, conjunct my Chiron, all 3 together.
Wait, say that conjunction again.
So I have my South Node conjunct Chariklo, Venus, and Chiron.
That can't be. You can't.
No?
It was only in 1949 that Chariklo and Chiron were conjunct.
Well, it's a sort of a loose, the Chiron and the Chariklo are on either. It's like a row of, it's a spread of about 9-ish degrees, but they're all kind of lined up together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Always learning. I mean, I hadn't figured that. I mean, I knew they were I have them conjunct. People born in have them conjunct. So I was wondering, because I don't know when they would have conjuncted again. So it sounds like in your year, 1977.
77, yeah. I mean, that I can triple check, but I'm pretty darn sure that they're, in my chart, that they're Chariklo's at 19 Aries, and then my Chiron is at 28 Aries, and then in between there is my Venus and my South Node.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling me that, because I didn't. I go so far, and then there's the next step of learning. So
yeah. No, but that's just fascinating. Assuming I'm correct about my chart, that's fascinating to me. The energies of the Chariklo and the Chiron being close-ish together, because I think when I think of Chariklo energy, I don't know if you agree with this. I think of like craniosacral therapy, like just
I like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I've been, I mean, in my life, I was a psychotherapist, and I was also a body worker, and I did energy work, and I did craniosacral therapy. And so I think of that whole therapeutic space holding in general, whether it's physical or spiritual or emotional, that the way you're describing Chiron being the connector of the layers of people, of a person, and then Chariklo holding the space. It's like you need both at the same time. That's the point. The point of holding the healing space is so that the energetic bodies, our physical bodies, can realign themselves and come into integration, I think. I don't know if that makes sense for you.
Yes, I like that. And we learn from our own charts quite a bit, and here it is. This is new material. So I'm like that, because Chariklo is a 62-year orbit and Chiron has a 50-year orbit.
Hmm.
So, they do have these cycles where they come around, and actually I haven't actually done my homework on that when they come back together again. So I'm going to look at that one.
Mhm.
And the other one that holds the light is Vesta,
Hmm.
that asteroid. She also kind of creates a circle of protection and holds the light and the sacredness of the moment. It's a little different, I think, with Chariklo because it feels a little more fluid and interactive. It's not fire, it's more water. Oh, and Chariklo has the most amazing astrology chart. It's a
Yeah.
six-pointed star, this huge stellium in Aquarius. It has a very unusual quality and like frequencies. Yeah.
Yeah, the discovery chart, which is what, February 14th, 15th, 1997. Yeah. Melanie Reinhardt talks about that, like how astounded she was by looking
Yeah.
at that chart. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing looking chart. So
Wow.
so yeah, that mutual healing with the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So
Mm.
kind of participating in that together with their own very special qualities that are not, the Chiron's known as a maverick, as out of the box, as holistic in being in the moment, in the moment. And that's, I think, one of the important things to remember with Chiron. And then Chariklo has can flow with that, can as you said, kind of hold the energy maybe in a less on a maybe an etheric level. The fifth
Mm.
element is ether or plasma or whatever people want to call it. That's part of the quantum realm as well, in how I've been, developing my thinking.
Mm.
So yeah, she's beautiful. She's also known as the spinner. So that is very interesting because to me, that means she can change frequencies
Mm.
and kind of wavelengths and such like that because of her mutability, her changeability, her fluidity, her mermaid side.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love it. I can feel it. It's
I would
beautiful.
ride a bike a lot. And now I realize that was my Chariklo coming up, when she turned into a centauress. So
Aw.
the healing and holding the healing energy with each other and with others. So
Mm.
I really like that, holding the space of relationship for each other, but also their shared work brings that to a different level. I don't think Mars and Venus think about that too much, at least mythically. So then if we go to Neptune, one of the outer planets, they're almost like a separate realm of their own in terms of the generational, identifications we get with Neptune being in a sign for 14 years, Pluto for shorter or longer, depending. And then Uranus is in a sign for 7 years. So Neptune is one of those collective consciousness planets that sort of define the larger signs of the times, as we could call them. So known as the god of the sea. And when I started thinking about Neptune in relation to Salacia, I started thinking about the universality of the sea, the depth of the sea, the moodiness of the sea, the power of the sea, and the saltiness of the sea, which is Salacia. Her name, Sal, means salt. So there she is. There's Neptune, the waters, and Salacia, the salt. So together, that's a really good pairing, because when you put good quality salt in water, it enhances the electrical vitality of the water. So how could Neptune not fall in love with this mermaid who made the sunlight to sparkle on the sea? And I'm here in the Caribbean, and that's one of the first things I loved about this place. It's a small island and it's surrounded by water, and it's very extra salty, and it's this amazing turquoise. And I just love seeing, the flickers of the sunlight. It's like there's a language there. It's like, she's lightening up, the energy. She's very delightful. So no wonder, how could Neptune resist her? But she's going, God of the sea, he can't be serious. He's just flirting, and I'm just not that kind of girl. So she went off to some far place of the ocean and just, left. So, because she doubted that of his intentions, which, that's fair with Neptune being a god, and, so he was serious though. And he, in my book, he sent a dolphin to find her and give her a beautiful pearl and say, no, he really does want to marry you. So I love this self-honoring quality of Salacia, with her clarity, her crystal shimmering of I know myself, and that she wasn't going to lose that clarity in herself and her shining, aspect. So I think that's a beautiful love story, in fact, and that she became then queen of the mermaids, queen of the sea. And she is like, not only on the surface of the sea. I started thinking about that because we think of the sparkles on the surface of the sea, but you can look down and the sunlight is also shimmering on the bottom in a shallow, sandy area of the water. It moves around with the patterning of the waves that look so cosmic to me. Like, that must be how the universe moves. That must be, the interweaving of the all that is, that is being mirrored by the light shining in the sea. So, and I think that also Salacia represents something about these waves of light that are coming into our system, and with a different frequency, higher frequencies, plasma, photon activity. Photons are the small little subatomic things that light up. And so she's coming in with an increased photon activity. So there's a higher frequency of the light coming in, and we're getting more and more of this coming in, whether it be, through the galactic interstellar waves, whether it's from the solar activity, which has been very powerful lately. Salacia was discovered. What year was she discovered? I have my whole little cheat sheet on the Kuiper belt objects here. Oh, I didn't put it down. They're all discovered after the year 2000. They're all discovered in the new millennium, except for Pluto. So that's another, interesting point. And Salacia's orbit is 271 years. So it's more than twice as much as Neptune's orbit of 165 years. So she is pretty elusive. They don't get together very often. And the next time they actually conjunct is not too far from now. It's in 2035 to 2038. And they're going to be conjunct at the very end of Aries, between 23 and 25 Aries. So if you've got something there,
that's where myself is.
That up really fast. So is that about when you're going to be 62?
Me, 2030. I will be yes, I will be, yes, correct. I'm even in my 60s. And that's my south node is at 24 Aries.
You're gonna have a very interesting Chariklo return.
Wow.
South node is like, you bring this influence in from the past. No wonder you're really interested in that vibrational quality of these factors joining together. Yeah, some of these, like the Chiron, Chariklo, and the Salacia, Neptune, that too. And Neptune's at its strength right now in its own sign of of Pisces. I think this is all quite extraordinary. So yeah, Sedna's in Aries now. So that's her sparkle coming through, her fiery, sometimes when you look at the sun striking off, the sea, there is quite wear my sunglasses sort of sensation. But it's just wonderful. And when the sun is setting or rising, it sends a path of light across the water that you could like walk on almost. And that's a beautiful part of, it's called the glitter path. And that's, part of Salacia's doing too, an invitation.
And so I was just looking at where Salacia is. You saying she's in Aries right now?
Yeah, she's in about 7 Aries, 7, somewhere in there. Maybe a little, yeah, somewhere right around there. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, if you were born, say 1930 to 1949-50, Salacia is in Sagittarius, and then in Capricorn for about 20 years. So that would be, 50 until 1971, and then in Aquarius until 1994, Pisces from 94 until 2016. Now, she must have, and this is again, I didn't do my full homework here, look it up, that she must have been conjuncting Neptune at some point there, because Neptune, well, they might not have conjuncted because she was getting ready to move into Aries in 2016, and Neptune wasn't that far yet, but he should catch up to her, and that's going to be when in the 2030s. So what will our consciousness be like then?
I know. And I want to make it explicit for everybody that so you're saying Salacia is one of these Kuiper belt objects that we were talking about at the beginning. And so she has an orbit that's a teeny tiny bit longer than Pluto.
Yeah.
But she's in that realm of objects with Pluto, and she's in that realm of things, like you're saying, that was only just being discovered in the early 2000s. So, less than 20 years ago for most of them. And yeah, I love her energy so much. I'm just getting to know these. I mean, they're just new to me, but I just feel that light of her that you talk about, and I can just there's some kind of like resonance like this.
Yes. Yes.
That I can, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and inside, it's like when joy sparkles up our hearts. There we can feel that shimmering. Sometimes I think I can hear it.
Yeah, I've heard you say that. I love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean,
I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. I kind of feel like I'm, that it's not a buzz either. It's more of a crystalline, shimmering kind of vibration. I have those halos of Chariklo.
Mm-hmm. Something that comes up a lot in my praying is this message that, and lots of people talk about this. So obviously it's not just me, but on the one hand, I hesitate to say this because it sounds so stereotypical, but it is consistently coming up in my prayers. And I'm just curious about the connection to Salacia. But I keep getting this message that, we need to be coming into our light bodies and coming into ourselves as crystalline beings. And I'm wondering if you feel like there's some connection with Salacia. And
absolutely, I do. I would have said that. Yeah, I would have said that really soon, probably. But you did, which I'm really glad about, because it's not it's like kind of an odd concept, but that with this new light frequency coming in, and there is this shimmering to it, and there's this vibrational energy, and so it's changing our bodies.
yeah,
and so we are experiencing, and sometimes I feel like I'm experiencing more space in my body.
mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so there's that. And yeah, sometimes energy goes up and down a little bit, right? And so there she is, and the subtlety of both that shimmering and of Neptune and the sea all together, is, I mean, it is really a good pairing, you know, salt, water, but and I've gotten very interested in salt. I'm becoming a salt collector.
Yeah, and another layer, again, I'm curious what you think of this. Is just coming to me, but so when I think of Neptune, of course, I mean, god of the sea, but then also Neptune being our connection to the all that is,
Yes,
the
yes.
nothing, all of that, right? So yeah, okay, this is just
Yeah,
dawning on me.
yeah.
So again, in my praying, the ultimate point of everything in life is for us essentially to come back to the Piscean reality, the Neptunian reality, that we all are one, we all are source, we all are whatever word you want to put to it. And at the same time, I keep getting this message that we are supposed to be clearing our conditioning, clearing our bodies, so that we can come into this crystalline light form that is kind of where our consciousness is heading, or something like that.
And the
And
earth.
so and the earth is doing the same thing. That's what I also get told in my prayers too. Yes, right, exactly. So I almost wonder, like, could Salacia be the energetic, if Neptune is the ethers, if Neptune is like the all that is and source itself, could Salacia be an energetic that's more of the embodied crystalline light version? That I'm trying, there's some connection.
Because if she's salt is like very condensed light, sunlight, you know,
Mm.
so, yeah, she's the salt factor. And
Wow.
harvesting here of salt on St. John at certain times of year. And I think that's wonderful. And we have especially the Caribbean is especially salty. So that's something about, I don't know, like there's so much salt everywhere, and it's like been there for so long, and it is like condensed light. I think of it that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like, yeah, I'm just getting the sense of that when we're here embodied as a being of earth, we are here to remember ourselves as Neptune, as the all that is, but we're not here to be disembodied. And Salacia feels like an embodied version.
Yes.
She's not, Salacia doesn't feel to me like she just goes into the ethers and sort of disappears. She's
Right.
here, but in a light
form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I really like that a lot. Yeah, she's condensed, and we have to have salt. We don't even, our bodies don't even absorb water if we don't have enough salt. So she helps with embodiment in that way too. The Native Americans I've been studying lately, and here's a quote from the Hopi about water. We are not separated. We are connected to every living thing, not just here on the planet, earthly planet, but down at the bottom of the oceans and the upper world, the cosmos sea, home of the cloud people. That's where you go when your physical body dies here on Earth. Then the liquid inside your body evaporates and it ascends to the cloud people. There we rest, and we come back as rain, as snow, bringing water to nature. We replenish the lakes, the aquifers. We're on our journey back home to the sea.
Oh, wow.
Water is that's indestructible. It cannot be destroyed. It is a living spirit. It is our connection to the Creator, the Great Spirit. So that talks about Neptune quite a bit, doesn't it? And that we are part of the all one. Yeah. And that we have an ocean inside us with however many percentage of water we are, and salt water. So
and that the cosmos is also an ocean, not just our earth oceans, but yeah.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time there with Neptune and Salacia. What a lovely pair, and Neptune can be so stormy, so moody, so powerful. And there's Salacia just lightening it up. So that's part of that. And then, so let's talk about Manwe and Varda. Now, they were both discovered in 2003. And it's so interesting that the Astronomical Union even agreed to name them after fictional characters.
Love that so much. Yes.
Yeah. And so somebody was obviously a Tolkien fan, but doesn't it feel like Tolkien had a vision? And this vision is of the creation is shared in the Silmarillion from his notes, and it was published after he died. But the first thing in this really thick book called the Silmarillion that goes through all of the ages and all of the characters and goodness, the first thing is the creation. And so the creator surrounds the center point here with angels, let us say, archangels, and one by one they begin to sing, find their tone, find their note, find their sound, and then they start singing together, and then there's this whole choir of angels, and it's stimulating the mind of the creator to imagine the world, to imagine Earth. And 14 of them, called the Valar, like the highest archangels, get so excited they want to go experience it. So down to earth they go, and they realize, oh, we have to create that vision. And so Varda is the light bringer. She helps to bring the light. And Manwe is closest to the mind of the creator and knows the original codes and how this world is supposed to be. And so he is the wisest, most compassionate, and they're a pair. They are together. And so when they're together, he can see really far and she can hear really far. So I like that because that brings the light and sound together, which is the creation, the vibration that, is the creation. And so they bring out the best in each other. They enhance each other's quality because that happens when they're together, and they're almost always together. She was like incredibly beautiful. She was the goddess of the elves, the most beloved, because she was the one who put the stars in the sky to welcome the elves to their realm. So she's the star kindler. She's the star lady. She's the light bringer. And he is the one who has those patternings, those original codes. And so they made this beautiful world. And then the fallen angel, who became the Dark Lord and Lord of the Rings, he was jealous of God because God could create, or whatever we want to call God, the creator, the one that is all, or whatever, is the creator. There's none other. So this dark angel, the fallen angel, was jealous of that. So the only way to express his power was to destroy what had been created. So that world was destroyed. Another world came up, and Varda brought a new light into that world. And then it was destroyed again, and a third era and a new quality of light. And here we are in a new era opening up here. I think of that level of unprecedented time we're in. It's hard to think that way because, we think we know our history and all of that. And it's really hard to think in huge terms like those eras, like Lemuria to Atlantis to what, the land of light, the land of the elves, the humans come, those eras are just so huge. And now if we are at the opening of that era again, Varda and Manwe are a wonderful pair. They were both discovered in 2003. and given these names. And they were at that point in the sky, they were squaring each other. They're still squaring each other. Varda's right now at 27 Sagittarius in alignment with the galactic center, bringing it in. There was a total eclipse on December 14th, 2020, a week before that special combination, that special conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter went into Aquarius together, first opening maybe of this new era, if we think about it like that. And that the week before, there was a total eclipse at 23 Sagittarius, and Varda wrote it in on that 23rd degree. So now she's been channeling the galactic center, the heart of the Milky Way galaxy. So this is like really on a whole, like another level as well. So she's another one like Salacia of the light bringers. So, an aspect of the divine feminine here. And then we're also seeing a different level of the divine masculine, which is that like, I don't even know the words, like the intelligent highest mind you can get, the mind of the creator, tuning into that and bringing those original codes forward. Manwe just crossed the Aries point, which is like a fresh new beginning. So, and so they're at these two very powerful points in the zodiac, and they are working together really well. If Varda is at 27 Sagittarius and Manwe is at 0 Aries 1, then they're still mostly squaring. It's a cross sign square. But since they were discovered, Varda, her orbit is like 313 or so years, and Manwe's orbit is 289 years. So Varda moves a little faster, and so they're still in an active square. And this is part of what changed my mind about squares, because squares have a negative interpretation a lot of times. Oh, they're squares, it's gonna be hard, and the thing is, a square is calling for manifestation. It's calling for work and development and growth. It's a challenge. Yes, take on that challenge, because it's like these energies are activating each other in a dynamic way that wants something to happen there. And so that's what Varda and Manwe at that level of the divine masculine and feminine are working on. And this is like the highest archangelic energy, in that creation story. So that's another, level that we're invited to, I don't know, aspire toward or start co-creating with. I have Varda conjunct my South Node. So I sort of feel like, did I come from there?
Yes, I'm sure you did. Wow.
Well, I just don't, I have trouble thinking that, but I also can relate to that, that there is this aspect of it that's really quite ancient, right? And there we are, like light and love, and that is almost like assumed with that pair. You can't create without love. So and it was for the fulfillment of that original vision of the meaning of the universe. So there they are on this other level, almost like twin flames. I'm not even sure what that means, but Tolkien's twin flames just sounded like too good a title to not use. And they do have that quality in the mythology written by Tolkien. And it just shows the power of story, that these objects were named for these fictional characters. And now we have this this mythic resonance going on, which invites discovery and opening to this level of consciousness and and of the divine masculine and feminine as you know, they are like working as one. They stimulate the light and sound. So many traditions say light and sound created the universe, and this is definitely a reflection of that, this story here.
Well, again, this is, in my prayers, these are the things that I get told by the spirit world to talk about, and the human me feels embarrassed and hesitant, but it's part of what I'm supposed to do, so I'll do it. So we're recording this in, again, April 2023, and in around the time of the equinox, right at the equinox, we had a new moon at 0 degrees of Aries, right? So it was sitting, that new moon was sitting right on where Manwe is, yeah? And in my prayers on the morning of that new moon, I was told, and again, I've had enough experiences with my prayers that I now know to just trust it, disbelieve it, even if the human me is going, seriously, just no. But what I was told on that morning was, this is the 0 point of the new earth.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating to me that on that new moon, which happens to be at the first degree of the entire zodiac, that Manwe is sitting essentially right there with that new moon, with Varda on the galactic center. So it's like, where are we going to get, if we're going to bring in anything new, where do we want to bring it from? Probably from that kind of
the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, so I keep getting told also and shown that so many of us who are here now were beings who in other times on this planet or maybe other places were had the knowledge of source or the knowledge of the cosmos move through us, like as wisdom keepers, I guess you could say, or whatever word you want to use, through us in a way that is similar to what you're describing as maybe Manwe and Varda, and in that it wouldn't come through our logical brain, right? Like that we would know, would know things through our full consciousness, through our whole being, not just our rational mind, which we've gotten so stuck in this time. And I'm very pro education. I'm very, I did the whole achievement and education thing. Like that's a good thing. And I feel this huge calling for us to come back to this remembering of this full consciousness that we are, and then remembering that we are those beings who are here to bring it through, like whatever this new way of being is, we're meant to bring it through our full consciousness, not just the rational mind. And there's something about, these energies.
The heart has a greater intelligence than the brain, and doesn't our gut also have quite a lot of organic intelligence in every cell of our bodies, Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. Just like, I'm just, as you're talking, I didn't realize, I hadn't sat with the fact that they were in that square in those particular locations. Cause both of those locations, like if you're starting something new, where Manwe is at that start point of the whole zodiac. If you're starting something new, where do you want to get the information from? It's exactly where Varda is, the galactic center, right? And then they're in a square.
Right? You would write that story.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's really fat. And then
the choreography is it's like so amazing. And then you get these new things in there and it's like, wow, what a dimension it's bringing in, and that we're invited into this opportunity, and these original codes coming right back. It's like a restart with the original coding, that is, and the light bringer energies. And I think, if we're incarnated at this time, we got a golden ticket because we had something to offer. And, that we do remember something about these other dimensions. And, some of us may have come from the future back too. And then some people say, well, we have these light codes that, we saved from, Lemuria or Atlantis, and we're bringing those, back around, whatever it is. I just think it's resonates with a lot of people because we have memories, something rings a bell for us, and that we are inviting, we're accepting this invitation, rather, to recognize our abilities to kind of know what is possible but not yet manifest. In the Buddhist tradition, they have the physical ether and the non-physical ether. And I kind of think that's like maybe the plasma realm. You mentioned craniosacral before. There is the fluids that, interface, everything in the system. And so there's something going on, with that, that's coming alive now. And here we have these new, and why did they decide to name them for indigenous creator gods? I just think that's fabulous. I think that the astronomers are channeling too.
Yeah, definitely. And this is not one of the cosmic couples that you're talking about, but really briefly, I would just love to hear, because it's feeling important. Your thoughts also. You've talked a lot about Haumea squaring Pluto right now, and as we're recording this, we're about to have an eclipse where Haumea is going to be opposite the new moon on this eclipse, and with Pluto squaring anyway, but that Pluto square to Haumea also feels like another, I mean, they're not a couple, but another dance that's going on.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I did want to, offer a couple of speculations on Pluto. And like Persephone isn't like the name of a planet. It's the name of something or other that I don't use. But, there's so many, like there's another nuance of it. And how many, like people born in the 1950s have Pluto and Haumea conjunct. And
Wow.
so now they're squaring, which is inviting the Pluto Haumea in Leo, and some of them in the later 50s in Virgo, into this kind of dynamic that's going on right now. And there is, there was a little astronomical controversy about naming Haumea, and the alternate name was a Spanish goddess of the underworld. I think her name was something like Etachina. And so there is a nuance here, or a side note, of Haumea having underworld goddess affiliation or nuance to her. So that's pretty interesting. And I know some people, there was a whole issue from the National Council of Geocosmic Research. Their magazine on one season was devoted to all the Kuiper Belt objects. And one of the authors was speculating about that destructive side of Haumea. Her daughter is Pele, one of her daughters. So, there is that, again, that kind of underworld side, and there she is going, into Scorpio, which brings that power of renewal, revitalization, kind of more powerfully into the mix with Pluto, who also has that kind of dynamic. So I do think at the moment they are pairing up in a very active and dynamic way. Yeah, it's like she's bringing the wave in as he's bringing the undertow out, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think about them also. I'm just barely beginning to even think about Haumea at all. I realize though that she's in my chart conjunct my moon and my ascendant. So it's a little bit prominent for me personally. But I feel her. So you talk about her birthing things from her whole being, right?
Symposium?
Like the symposium, yeah. And so I think about, I mean, when you're talking about her relationship with Pluto, I'm just thinking of the idea of the Plutonian energy and Persephone energy being related to the cycle of life and death as one, and creation and death being one, right? Like there's something about that dance that we need that Plutonian letting go and transformation in order to birth from our whole being. There's something about that. Yeah.
There are a lot of myths of the goddess going to the underworld. And in part, that has to do with the Venus cycle when she goes retrograde, and when she, we don't see her for a while, either in, when she's going from evening to morning star, which is happening this coming summer, or when she's on the other side of the sun and she disappears for longer. But, there are all these myths of the goddess going to the underworld, which, kind of reminds me of the Venus retrograde cycle and that deeper journey into, the deeper recesses of our own hearts. And that that's the empowerment of Pluto. To me, with Pluto, we claim our power or we give it away. And so, Pluto has this empowerment, because like with Persephone, she discovered her destiny through Pluto. So that there's an empowerment aspect. And I was trying to think, well, how does Persephone, give back to Pluto? And I think if she came to love him, that's good for him. One time, I was at a conference, and that the men created a ritual for the women that went through the woods with different moments and, meetings of Hermes and whatever. So we get to this little made of, saplings, and we go in, and there's Pluto. And Pluto is giving us gifts. Pluto's empowering us. Pluto is healing us. Pluto is honoring us. It was beautiful. And that is, I think, a potential of Pluto. And I got to go there because I have Pluto smack dab on my ascendant. So I need to make friends with Pluto. And that it's changing sign is very, very interesting. Going into Aquarius, which, is a certainly part of whatever this new era is about. We're heading into it, and it might be bringing forward the higher mind. And maybe some of these Kuiper belt objects like Manwe is the highest mind.
I love that. And just one thought I have about Persephone is, so I work with Persephone, the asteroid Persephone. Okay. And I was looking at her at the eclipses next fall, in October. And actually, so Pluto will still be in the realm of squaring the nodes. And on those eclipses, Persephone will be on the south node in Libra.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was feeling into that, what was coming up for me was the sense of that when I think of Plutonian transits, I think people, I know this is true for me, and I think it's probably true for a lot of people. We tend to think of it as being a very lonely process, often very difficult. And we go to the underworld and we're all alone down there. And for me, Persephone, one version of the Persephone story is that, and even if I bring in the Inanna story, like there are these women, there are these divine feminine figures who actually are there. They're there with us. We're not alone. And I think of one version of the Persephone story being associated with her as like a almost like a midwife who can help guide us through.
Yes. Chariklo, I think, also has that holding for transitional states. Yeah. Wow, we've covered a lot of territory. Yes. And thank you for engaging in dialogue here, because this helps me flesh out some of my ideas, and this is how we learn, right? It's by seeing what it brings up in us and sharing all that. And So thank you very much. And for teaching me too, about some things that, we're always learning here. That's the joy of astrology. And part of my joy is also like, it's you and me talking right now with this archetypal field, and new ideas arise, new things come up because it's you and me talking with this energy and engaging it. Mythology is refreshed by us living it and engaging in the stories and the storylines and learning more and enhancing those. So, and this new Kuiper belt realm is along that line too, that it's inviting us into new experience with archetypes that need to be in the collective consciousness now. So
absolutely. And that's something also I was having this conversation with Heather Answorth the other day, and we've said this with each other a lot, but that, I feel we both feel very strongly about, I'll speak for myself. I feel very strongly that it's so crucial to be conscious of the way we engage with all of these stories and the archetypes, and especially and including the more traditional planets. I feel like they can get us really stuck if we let ourselves get stuck in those stories. We can get stuck, and that holds power. It holds, if we have a concept of Saturn being, I don't know, a controlling, dominating, masculine authority figure, and we look at Saturn and our planet, Saturn, the planet in our chart, or transiting Saturn, and we can get really scared. We can have actual panic attacks just if we think of it that way, right? And I don't feel like that's helpful.
no,
Good. Yeah.
We're going to have our own experience of that, and the level of consciousness we bring into it, right? That's part of quantum physics. If you're looking to find something, you'll find it, so it's we're expanding our consciousness, and we need to review our whole languaging.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so anyway, I love your work. I love everything you have just said. And is there anything else you feel like that feels left unsaid about this whole topic?
It was just a way to talk about some new ideas here. I don't even know if it is on topic, but I had fun with it. And thanks for inviting me into, this opportunity to share some new ideas and to dialogue with me on them. I appreciate that, and hope that no matter what your level of astrology is, for listeners here, that you got something out of it, and that especially it might kind of nudge you to kind of look into some of these new, and at least pick one Kuiper belt object to kind of make friends with and see and play with.
Definitely. I second all of that. And again, thank you so truly, this is on so many levels for me, and I think for many people listening, this is just, I feel myself transforming. I feel myself just expanding. It's like this whole new learning edge for me on many levels.
That's what it's been doing for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, would you like to, before we end, I would love for you to share about your work and where people can find you and all of that. And I also want to say for people that so this talk is being released in the 4th and last week of the symposium of Rebecoming the One. But in the first week of Rebecoming the One, Kelley, you did a workshop, a live paid workshop, which was also recorded, on the cosmic feminine. And so people, if you're hearing this talk and that piques your interest, you can go back, and that workshop is available indefinitely. So you can always access that. So I wanted to name that. And Kelley, I would love for you to share about your work. How can people find you? What are you doing in the world? I know you do some workshops.
Well, in that workshop, the cosmic feminine, I was talking about the moon and Venus and Black Moon Lilith. and their interrelationship and the difference between those within, the cosmic feminine, consciousness in men and women. And so, each on their own, but then how they interact can be very interesting. So that's what that is about. And, that's been, the cosmic feminine has certainly been one of my interests. And now this new realm of the Kuiper belt, and Lilith is a special interest as well. I have 2 books on it. She made me do it. I have the true moon and the true black moon and mean black moon, both in the 9th house. But, I try to say it's suggested because Lilith is a very mysterious factor, and I've learned to really pay attention to her, and she requires radical trust. So, 2 books on Lilith, and my coloring book on the planetoids. I'm working on updating my master's degree, which is about the goddess journeys to the underworld using 3 examples. So Pluto, was, I call it Pluto and the Underworld Mysteries as a working title. And I'm enjoying more of these collaborative experiences. And I do as much personal consultation work as I can manage to do. And I enjoy those encounters too, with the field of experience coming up. This is an intuitive language, astrology, and it both enhances your intuitive capacity and comes from that. So, that's it helps wake up. And at a certain point, things start clicking in, when you're watching your own astrology work on as well. So love the language of the stars, and always happy to share it with other people. My best contact is my website, www.helia, Helia star.com. Helia referring to a feminine aspect of the sun, and heliastar.com. I have a lot of articles there. You can sign up for my free newsletter, which is an examination of the moon cycle. And to accompany that, I also do a regular monthly video with David Farrell, Quantum Plant Healer, on his YouTube. And we go over the moon cycle and what's going on. And we tend to bring in KBOs on a pretty regular basis because they're coming in and they're dancing with the rest of the solar system. So hope to visit me there. You can contact me through there. And thank you for listening.
Beautiful. Yeah, I wasn't aware of those videos with David Farrell. I've seen your videos with Pam Gregory, of course. And if anybody doesn't know about those videos, they're amazing. Go watch them. They're wonderful.
Yeah, Pam Gregory got interested in the Kuiper belt through a presentation I gave through an Australian group. And yeah, she started mentioning my work, and that was great collaboration. Appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I love your conversations.
Me too.
Thank you so much, Kelley. Truly.
Thank you for having this and inviting us all in, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you.